How long was that?
2017, 7 years acha. Bah.
Second year college.
You don't have to mention. I feel old if you say second year college and not.
It
ಇಲ್ಲ
is
ಅಮ್ಮ we were second year college. He was not.
Anyways, you will itself go to matrimony apps nowadays, and the parents itself would put requirement H1B.
Yeah, they have a filter also. You can like filter out people who have a H1B and you can just get rid of students. You keep a count of every dollar, but once you start earning your own money, it's like you still keep a count. It's not like you're spending it lavishly and all, but then even then you are like more, you feel okay to do it. You're like, yes, let's do it. Let's do this. Meaning your visa is tied to your job, and once you lose your job, recession or anything, you would have to find your next job within 60 days, which is
This one, we went by car. We drove all the way from Chicago to Utah. That was our first stop. That's like, to give perspective, I don't know how many miles away it is, but then it was the most, that was like a road trip. Like the
But when it came to work, you remember like those evenings where like after 5 or 6 you just come home, you don't want to leave the sofa. You're like mentally drained out. You don't have time for அமுக்க போறேன். All right, welcome back to episode 4 of the Masters podcast. This is me, Relatable Fellow, and okay, I'll introduce her as the balloons are like popping up. So this is gonna be Amritha. Say hi, hoo hoo. All right, thank you for being a guest. Excited. And bottom left, Sneha.
hi.
No gestures, no balloons, no yo like Amrita. No. Okay. She's a completely different personality now. Okay, so this is how it's gonna be. It's gonna be natural, it's gonna be candid, it's gonna be secondhand embarrassment for all of us, but this is what we signed up for. So
Yeah, this is our first time, so
we can
I don't know
clearly
what
see.
to expect. Yeah.
Do you want to say something about your Tala Dhoni behind to
Oh, always get his blessings before you do anything.
that's one way to bring Sneha to like that calm mode. You mentioned Dhoni.
Allah forever.
Exactly. Any initial thoughts, Amrita, before we start into any of this?
initial thoughts, may everything go well. May your podcast, the Relatable Fellows podcast, it's the Relatable Fellow, no? You didn't change it.
It is. Yes.
May the Relatable Fellows podcast be known worldwide. Not this radio, but okay.
Thank you.
To your future success, Mr. Godwin, Richard, Thomas.
Abba, thank you. Hope.
Can this
Full
get
name
any
lam.
more formal?
Full name எல்லாருக்கும் சொல்லியாச்சுப்போ so
ஆமா, it'll be helpful, right? Arrange marriage profile லாம் ஈஸியா இருக்கும் சர்ச் பண்ண யாராவது பார்த்தாங்கன்னா. And also I forgot to mention, I think we'll keep it in English for the entire thing, like from start. We might say something in Tamil, Malayalam here and there, but if it comes in slang or this thing, it's okay, let it come. But we'll try to keep it in English as much as possible, okay?
Okay, done.
All right, so we'll come to the topic. Oh shit, it's already okay. No cuss words, okay? I'll beep that out. So no on the slur words or whatever. We are family
being
friendly.
a professional podcaster, you should tell us all these.
Right? குடும்பங்கள் கொண்டாடும் வெற்றி எங்க இதோ அந்த பின்னாடி போஸ்ட் like that we are doing. Yeah.
Okay, let's go.
Okay, so episode 4. So we have been to the first semester, second semester, third semester, and all that. So this episode is going to be focused on the life after masters. So basically a person who has graduated, who has got his full-time job through all that struggle. We've already discussed about all that before. This is that phase where, just to give a gist, it's going to be talking about first the freedom that you get like after getting a full-time job, and all that luxury perks that you get your first full-time job, like you get your salary, you get to go on trips, you get to travel, do all that fun stuff, living in an house independently, blah blah blah. So all that fun parts. We also talk about a little bit about the visa problems and the current
Oh,
things which kind of give us stress and all that in that aspect. And we'll also like talk about the three of us trying to like meet up or like talk or like scheduling appointments to actually talk to each other in this adult life. So we'll dig in like all different aspects. So this is gonna be the gist of the topic. So let's go directly to the topic, and obviously we're just gonna like casually talk whatever comes to our mind. So let's first loosen up. Like let's
breathe
take it a
in,
little bit
breathe
slow.
out.
Breathe in, breathe out. Okay. So
Breathe
just to
in,
like
breathe out.
completely
Yeah.
like get it out of our mind, we'll start with something very small. So
Okay.
first, well, like this current first topic, I'll give it about like what do you think is like the most amazing thing after you join like a full-time job compared to like when you were a student? Who wants to go first?
I think the money.
Yeah.
Right?
Obviously, it's the
Money,
money.
money, money. Yeah. Yeah, you get money and you're, I would say, more financially free. You're not dependent on your parents anymore. So
Yep.
money is that revelation.
You can order pizza
Uh,
whenever you want.
order pizza, go on
No, we were
trips,
able to do that even
buy
when we were
things.
studying. But the
Yeah.
thing is, you become free. Like,
No.
no one's gonna question you, okay, where did you spend that money? Not that they did ask me, but
Hmm.
you had a limit, you had a budget. You couldn't spend more than that. And at least I did. And then after that, you're like, I still kind of, I always try to keep the budgeting on my money, but then it doesn't really happen. At least for food, it's never happened for food. And then the liberty of actually spending that money on travel, like
Hmm.
Yeah. And it's
travel.
just that worry, when you're spending your parents' money, it's like,
Mm.
ayo, I'm spending this much. They must have worked hard for it. You keep a count of every dollar, but once you start earning your own money, it's like you still keep a count. It's not like you're spending it lavishly and all, but then even then you are like more, you feel okay to do it. You're like, yes, let's do it. Let's do this. I've been wanting to get this thing. Let's just get it. It's more of that. Yeah.
I think like I remember like my first big purchase, I was targeting like one big gaming laptop. I told myself I'm gonna get it
Mm.
only after I earn like a full-time job. Because as students, no matter whatever we do, we earn little, but that first chunk of like, that paycheck when it hits, you're like, this is that moment. You kind of made it in life. What was like the first purchase you remember getting like when you had that paycheck?
I think I got a second-hand car when I got my first paycheck from NIU, that graduate assistantship position. That it was my paycheck was around $1,200, and I just spent the entire money on a car. I didn't even have money for insurance or to give the what do you call it? The state. You need to register your vehicle, right? Yeah. So then I had to again ask my parents, but yeah, that was my first big purchase.
Nice.
I think for me, the biggest purchase was a PlayStation. I can't remember it.
PS5 after getting successfully through the lines and getting it, no?
Oh God, the wait time during that period was so difficult. But then we finally got one, and I remember the money just, getting cut off there. Okay. But yeah, that's my big purchase, I would say. I can't really recollect much.
No,
Hmm.
actually, no, when I think about it, before that, I think like actual full-time job, the
Mm.
first paycheck, I think we both spent it on flight tickets back to India.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That's yeah, that
And
was the
and then
big
and then the
purchase.
remaining paycheck it went towards getting gifts for India.
Yeah, true. Exactly. That.
Nice. And there's always that satisfying feeling that you get something to your parents all the way in India with your
Yeah.
paycheck.
Oh yeah, that feeling is.
That reminds me. So the first item I've actually spent is buying my mom an iPhone.
Ah.
So that was my big purchase. I was like, yeah, I have to get my mom an iPhone. That was my big purchase. It was not on me. It was for my mom. Oh my God, that's a good thing. See?
Nice. And that especially like they will think of us as like some playful person going here and there. Finally, we are responsible. We'll be like, adultra.
No, 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 no. This one was more like, you don't have to get me this. Why do you spend this much
Why?
money on a phone? Why iPhone? That too for me. Cheshire, my brother was like, no, give it to me. Why? I don't think mom's gonna use it much. Yeah, that's true.
So yeah,
Mm.
phones. Yeah, all unwanted, unnecessary things. No, not the flight tickets. You have to go to your home
Uncle,
someday. But
auntie,
yeah.
she said unnecessary. Make a note of it for the flight ticket.
No, see, even auntie said it was unnecessary. Yeah, I'm just quoting auntie on this.
Yeah, yeah.
Ah. And I think let's talk like the transition from like, like we were students. So we had to do like, assignments and like all those exams. And that was like a different type of work. Now, as soon as we go to an office, everything changes, right? Like our day is like from morning to evening. We're not going to work evenings or nights, most cases. And most of it is like a different environment than what we were ready for. This was like a corporate environment. And most importantly, what comes from that is like if we were students, yes, we were stressed out, but most of the times we did like, we did not get like a level of stress above a certain point. But when it came to work, you remember like those evenings where like after 5 or 6, you just come home, you don't want to leave the sofa. You're like mentally drained out. You don't have time for anything. You don't have like let's talk about that kind of like, that phase of life, like after college.
Actually, that phase of it reminds me because our workplace it was an hour away from where I used to stay.
Hmm.
So the evening drive used to consume most of my time. That was a very bad decision at that point, which is why I moved off after the lease got over. But then, still, I think for a couple of months, for like 2, 3 months, I used to travel around an hour to and fro. That consumed most of my time. So then by the time you're just back home, you just have time to makeshift dinner, cook something, have some snacks, and then binge watch whatever it is on the
Yeah.
TV at that point of time. Just that.
Hmm.
Yep.
And
What about you, Sneha? What do you remember?
Yeah, I think both university life and work life has its own challenges.
Mm.
Like, yeah, when you talk about doing your master's here, you'll be like having assignments, homeworks, your thesis work if you are going that route. But yeah, so that is challenging. You'd have quizzes to prepare for, or when you have a job on top of your education, you'd have to concentrate on that as well. But work, it might sound easier, but it has its own challenges. It mainly depends on where you work,
hmm.
how your bosses are, or how that environment is. So my first job, it was more hands-on. We had to be there on site. There were no timings, which was bad. But yeah, it depends on where you land up after. Yeah, and ours was a very tricky situation because it was right after COVID. We belonged to the COVID batch, so we just did
Hmm.
like 6 months of our masters in class in person. The other 1.5 years were like at your home. We just did our masters in a room, and like no exposure, nothing, which is kind of the opposite of what you expect when you move to the US. But yeah, so it was more like that. Yeah, so I would say both had its own challenges and it has its own perks as well. So no complaints, just go with the flow.
Yeah.
Yeah, and something particular, I think, if I'm thinking about now, when you said like, it depends on that workplace, like, if depending on the workplace, we will work more or less. It also comes with that caveat that we're all under a certain status in visa where it's not easy to transfer jobs or there's even lesser opportunities, because then LinkedIn there'll be an option of, do you require visa sponsorship? That will
Yeah.
be the point where most of us get it filtered. So like I understand, like if you get a job, getting a job itself is like insanely hard. So we are like, you don't mind some things which you would normally you would mind in, like, if you're, let's say you're in another situation. So that visa situation is like kind of always on the back of your head. You need to get that sponsorship, and they need to also do H1 for you. And I think I remember, like, some employers, like, in order for them to do H1, they would expect you to be of a certain standard in terms of, like, delivering stuff. You need to be committed. Only then they'll even sponsor. So you need to, like, have it on the back of your mind that, okay, I need to do this not just for my normal work, but also for the status.
Yeah.
So that is like one thing I think, like, though we have, like, this pros of doing masters and getting work on this side, there's also like equally, like, I think some parts, like, especially like, to touch more on that, we all have this thing called H1B lottery attempts, like every 3 years after you get a job. So that's basically it. You get like 3 attempts, and every year you kind of get close to that. You don't know if you're gonna reach that tunnel or not. So I remember my first time, when I got my first attempt and I got rejected. Till that point, I felt 3 attempts is there, right? So no problem, I can do it. But as soon as one went off, oh, one went off, huh? So only two. Immediately, my thought of getting that luxurious couch or like luxurious house came a little bit lesser, because a permanent on, I didn't know. Oh, will I get status or not? Can I commit to this thing? So other konjo, like, it's like a little bit idilla. You can't commit to something very long term. There's always that thought until you get that status, la.
Yeah, completely understand, and I can relate to it because we are in that exact right situation right now. So yeah, this 2 attempts are over. We still didn't get our H1B. This is our third attempt and final attempt, and I know exactly what you're talking about. Life is at a pause right now. Even for getting a desk, we are like, visa, we might leave US in another couple
Yeah, what's
months.
the point?
Why spend so much? Not just for a desk, but for anything you think of. Yeah, it's like a pause. And that tension, no, I don't think it will go anytime soon, even if you get a H1B, because along with it comes another tension of getting your I-140.
Yeah.
Yeah, the US dream is not the same anymore as what I think,
I
what I
was not ready, da.
expected. I was
Yeah, I was
not
not
ready,
ready.
Daddy.
No one told me about this.
Huh.
I thought life was gonna be easy, or maybe you just make chill money and then you return back home. You're
Yeah.
not gonna worry
No,
much about your
I
visa
think no one
status.
told you about it, Vida. I think no one knew this was coming. This was not something usual like 2 or 3 years back. I think COVID completely changed things for everyone because people, even for people who settled like 5 years, uh, yeah, they're also having long wait times on their green card processing and things like that. So I think maybe students who are coming in right now, or students who are already here still doing their masters, they should consider it. Yeah, it's
Mhm.
not that easy anymore. Uh, Even though you earn a lot, it comes with its own mental pressure. So you just have to weigh out your options and see if you are okay to
Yeah, that's there.
survive
And
this.
you only get three chances in the
Mm.
H1B lottery. So your name getting picked. I mean, the probability of you getting your name picked right now, for the past 2 3 years, it's actually come down way less. I'm not sure of the exact numbers, but it's
400,000 plus, right? Total applicants.
yes.
No,
Oh
that
my
is
God,
the
last
total
year was
number
too
of
much.
individual applicants. Like 400,000 is people who have only one entry into the lottery pool. The actual applications for last year, which was fiscal year 2024 H1B, it was around 700,000. So,
My
like,
God.
And
yeah.
of this,
And
they picked
out
only 85,000. Sorry, go ahead.
85,000. Yeah, she's right. 85,000. So it's like actually hitting a lottery, not just like the probability is very less. I think it was, no, I'm not sure of the numbers, so let's not go there. But
Yeah.
yeah, so if you're spending so much money on your on your master's education, and then if you still are not sure if you're going to settle down here, I think you should consider the options because the money you earn would just be enough to settle back your loans or your student loans which you got for coming here. Yeah, but I would definitely recommend it to people who come with a scholarship or who come here, get a job, and then they get a waiver for their tuition fee. Then just go for it.
You mean
Yeah,
as a teaching assistant or an
as a
RA?
yeah,
Any
some
sort
other
of,
job,
yeah,
on campus
RAs or
job with
TAs, yeah.
yeah.
That's a good
True.
point. It's like, it's like at least be prepared that, you're signing up for this knowingly. Because personally, I did not know it was going to be this intense until I came here at this. Because, like Sneha said, I think everyone told us about job search, internships, assignments, all this. But we all knew H1B, that period of 3 years is going to be hard. But it's not, no one told us it's going to be like that level of stress. It's like, yeah, your entire life. And I'll also even say, like, when I was in that phase of like second attempt, third attempt, I was also like, parents were looking at matches for me. So you
Yeah.
don't know if you're actually gonna, like, உன் statusக்கே உனக்கு தெரியல. How are you going to support another girl? Right? What filter will
Correct.
you like you will itself go to matrimony apps nowadays, and the parents itself would put requirement H1B.
Yeah,
Right?
they have a filter also. You can like filter out people who have a H1B and you can just get rid of student profiles.
Correct.
Yeah.
So
Other parents will put uh,
Work
prefer
permit.
a girl who has a work permit or who's a green card
அப்படியே ஈஸியா
holder
போட்டுருவாங்க.
or a permanent resident. Assalta.
Easy route
Citizen.
itself.
Citizen, passport பரவாயில்லையப்பா, you can get it there also.
Yeah.
uh,
Then it's like your whole life is at a pause, not just your
But I don't think
visa.
anyone could have warned us before about this because this was not as bad before. That's what I was trying to say. So before, your chances of H1B getting picked was not a problem earlier. You got three
but you
chances.
did have a problem, right? Like, sorry, but that time, even though like 10-15 years back, I still remember my elder brother of 7-8 years back and all, your 3 attempts were always a lottery. After 2004 or 5, that was still the case, right? It was a luck only, right?
Mm,
I think
it
maybe you
was so.
had a brother, so you know it from him personally, but I do not have any relatives or friends in the US. All I did was, what did I do? Try to join groups on Facebook or WhatsApp,
Hmm.
uh, read those forums and everything. But no, yeah, unless you have like a very close friend or like a brother in your case, I don't think you would know about all these issues.
Mm.
Yeah, because you wouldn't ask that either. You wouldn't be like,
Ah.
because I wouldn't know what H1B is at that point of time, and I'm just researching universities or trying to find courses. Yeah, so yeah, no one could really warn us about this, but
I
And
yeah,
even
think,
the probability of the chances of you getting a H1B picked, like I said before, it was more at that time. Right
it
now,
was
it's up
definitely,
to,
yeah.
yeah,
you've got, I think, into 10 times or more, maybe
Yeah.
more than 10, I think. But yeah, too many applications right now. So no one could have guessed the odds, right? No one could have. Yeah, it
yeah.
is
So
what
if
it
anyone's
is.
hearing, please use this advice.
வந்துராதீங்க.
வந்துடாதீங்க, like
வந்துக்கோங்க. If you have plan on coming for
no,
5 years,
yeah,
you'll have amazing time for the first 5 years
ஆமா.
and then full
Do
on
masters.
be prepared for that.
Yeah, that is actually good advice. Like, do masters, get that work experience, get that savings. அவ்வளவுதான். Tick all this, and especially that savings, when we say, yeah, it will be very tempting to, do a lot of other things, go trips, go do this, all this, but always keep in mind, after 2-3 years, there is going to be a situation. So savings, even if you get something like, have savings and all that, that is always important. Like that experience you get in working for a foreign company, like working
hmm.
in, like, we always have that perk. So I think that is like good advice. I'll change my stance from don't come to US badala, come here, study, get experience, and then after that decide whether you want to go or not under my situation.
Yeah, Nanu, I'll change my stance. Suppose I'm not saying don't come to the US. I'm just saying these are also
It
the
is.
cases.
You
No,
We are
no.
changing.
No, it
Politically correct.
depends. See, it depends on your financial situations. If see, what if they have a student loan? They'll get stuck after
Eh,
3 years if
Oh,
they're not going to pay off. So yeah, think of all the options available, because settling in the US is not an easy task anymore. I
yeah.
think, what did they say? The wait time for green card is like 175 years right now. So you're not a permanent resident till then, meaning your visa is tied to your job. And once you lose your job, recession or anything, you would have to find your next job within 60 days, which is really hard.
See,
That's
I'm
good
at
to
a
know.
point where I can't even think about green card yet because of H1B. You're like, okay, F1 visa, the next step is H1B, and then you apply for I-140, and then you get your green card processed, and then you get your green card. Still stuck at the first step, just before everything
Yeah.
else. But yeah, true.
True. That is like you can only think like for your next goal, and there is no such thing as if this happens, you're set. No. As soon as H1B, green card. As soon as green card, something else. No, sorry. As soon as green card, la forget. Green card itself is something else, something else. It's
Green card
somewhere.
is there somewhere. Okay,
Uh,
wow. It's the
uh,
distance from US to India. It's there. It's not here.
and the amount of backup options people tell, no, like when as soon as you like you enter that first H1B, இத பாருடா, if you don't get H1B, இங்க இருக்கு Canada. All you have to do is, they made me do it, right? TOEFL, right? IELTS. I remember, right? We were preparing like on the day before IELTS. I called these two and I was like, I do not know the word ostentatious. What does it mean? Will they ask me this question, that question? So you are like, you are bound, and you have your day job. You have to go to office. I told you, right? You're already mentally drained out. This side also, you're not getting matches. Also, you're drained out in that side also. So you're already in like some trauma.
கார்டனுக்கு கார்டன் பிரச்சனை. ஐயோ
Adan.
பொண்ணு கிடைக்கலையே.
Many bachelor problem. பாத்துக்கோங்க.
Hey.
So in the trauma, just imagine you're preparing for IELTS, and that Canada visa like application is not easy. I'm telling you. As like when I applied, it took so long. It drained me to like fill those forms, get those transcripts, get this, and on top of that, even if you put that form and keep they'll take at least 1-2 years to even process it and call it. இப்போ நான் சொல்றது, it was in 2020 or 21. 2024 Canada itself is not an option. You are anyway not going to like and their situation is much worse. So people are like, it's okay pa, Canada, US gone. You look for Switzerland, Venezuela, you look for like they're suggesting random options. All
Oh,
these people.
by the way, did you inform your viewers that you're going back to India?
Yeah.
Guys, வராதீங்க வராதீங்கன்னு he is going to India.
இது ஒரு spoiler மாதிரி இருக்கியா? I thought of telling it by the end of the master series, but thank you Sneha
Okay,
for
நீங்க cut
breaking.
பண்ணிக்கோங்க. It's okay, cut it up.
No. Do not cut this. He's moving to India. So அதையும் மைண்ட்ல வச்சுட்டு and then listen to what he has to
Amma,
say.
see, main reason was not getting matches. No, kidding. So basically, yeah, because of all this, I'm like, I decided, I'm like, I have come here and studied 2-3 years work experience over. And I have personal reasons in the food, cinema, அதெல்லாம் மெயினா இருக்கு.
Wait. You guys, you should know, whoever's watching this, he came with his student visa and then he got his H1B, okay? He got
Yeah.
his H1B and he's actually voluntarily going back home. I mean, that's good for
Hard
him and
decision,
everything, but
yeah.
then yeah. You should know there are people like him too. So many.
This was like that in the Nelson சொல்லுவானே ஜெயிலர்ல வந்து everyone was telling don't keep white hair for Rajini, but he went against that decision and he kind of made it. So similarly, everyone around me உனக்கு பைத்தியமாடா, உனக்கு இது பண்ணு நீ போற,
Yeah.
especially like everyone in your family is saying no, you can't go.
Yeah.
So I'm making this decision, will hopefully connect after 1-2 years. And the time I'll tell you how it goes, what is happening, all
You know,
that.
actually, when he first broke that news out to us, we were like, no, Godwin, this is the biggest mistake of your life. You shouldn't move. You should stay back here. Listen to me. I'll convince you. Abdin. I me and Amritha, both of us together, we tried to convince him. I think we at the end of the call, it was like 30, 40 or 1 hour. 1 hour. It went for 1 hour, and then at the end of that 1 hour, he convinced us to move back to India. Yeah, it was not the other way. It's like,
Too funny.
yeah. Once we spoke with him, we're like, why are we here? Even we should just shut up and go back. Everything's
I
back
still
there.
think
Yeah.
about it. I still think about it all the time.
I'm an
It's
influencer. What can I do?
yeah.
He's an influencer.
ஐயோ கல்யாணமே நடக்காது எனக்கு அந்த வார்த்தைலாம் யூஸ் பண்ணா நெவர் மைண்ட்.
Mm.
Okay.
Ayyo.
Anyway,
Yeah.
enough of a lot of serious discussions. கொஞ்சம் அப்படியே like on the fun side will come back a little bit.
Okay.
So
Mm.
இது எல்லாமே இருக்கு. Doesn't mean like you look at the three of us. It's not like we are like Paradesi film otherwise who are like slaves. We are in US. We are enjoying. We do have like those moments where we'll feel like நம்ம USல தான் இருக்கோம் or like நம்ம தான் இருக்கோம். So let's go to that section. Especially when we talk about those trips or travel இல்லாம நம்மளால சொல்லவே முடியாது. So we'll start like I think I remember like you start saving up kutti every month or every like you have a bucket list. நம்ம இந்த இடத்துக்கு போறோம் அந்த இடத்துக்கு போறோம். So you'll slowly start saving and those like those trips I think I'll tell like the most memorable trip I went like so far in the starting. So I have this like I think you all know like you both know but Dota is like a game I play. I really love doing it and there was this annual event where it's like basically cricket World Cup mari Dota World Cup na it takes
He's
place in
just being humble. He has represented India in international matches and all. So when he says he's a
once upon
Dota
a
player,
time.
he is a Dota player.
He
Yeah.
is a Dota
Good
player.
old days.
He has won trophies
Google
this
guys,
high.
Google
Yeah.
Godwin Richard Thomas Dota. You will find it there.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
You guys are being
Because
so
that
humble.
was a
Yabba.
big reveal for me.
No, you
Anyways.
were being so humble, and we just wanted your viewers to know how he's a professional gamer. Yeah, that's the best way to put
Yeah,
it.
and he won.
Once
Yeah.
upon a time, mama. Those were actually good time. The only thing
How
is
long
esports
ago
wasn't
was
big,
that?
la.
How long was that?
2017, 7 years acha. Bah.
Second year college.
You don't have to mention. I feel old if you say second year college.
It's just
Illa,
like,
Ammu, we were second year college. He was not.
Anyways. போதுமா உன்னால என்ன பண்ண முடியுமோ அதை பண்ணிட்டீங்க.
Okay.
So yes, and the trip. So yes, okay. So on the Dota, so I have this context. So it's like I enjoy playing Dota and I also love watching Dota in this stage. Like basically இதெல்லாம். So every year it happens in one country. It happens in like I think 1 year was China, 1 year was like Switzerland, 1 year of this thing அதெல்லாம். And after 7 years, it's gonna happen in US. Okay, and it's gonna happen in Seattle. And this is one of those lifetime dreams of like 2012 irundhe is like life la one time I have to attend TI live. Okay, this was on my list. So this when it came like when the tickets were there and all, before that I was very very excited, but as soon as they launched the ticket price and the Seattle price and all, I was like 1 month la save panna pattadu 1 year save panno. So it was like insanely expensive. So I started saving up, I started this thing and I had to like basically take care of it's another state, another city for me. So I had to look for accommodation, this, that, but whatever it was, leading up to that moment on that big auditorium, seeing it live, it was, I think, whatever happened, this like that moment in US was like iconic. Satyama, it was like one of the best moments, and it was like I had to thank like US for giving me that. Whatever happens, like I wouldn't have afforded it if I was working in like maybe like India or this thing. It was very very expensive. So that was like that memory is like something special for me. And the mari, if you think about some memory or some trip, something யாருக்கா வருது சொல்லுங்க பாப்போம்.
Yeah. I've got two memorable trips. During this we're talking about during masters, right?
After like anything like summa
Yeah,
like
totally. Okay, no, I'll start with masters itself because the first like, trip that we did was we came. So we finished our exchange program. We went to India. We went back to India. We went back home, and then we came back for our masters. Like I think 1 week crossed or something, and then me, both Sneha and I, and then two more of our other friends, we went on a trip to New York from Illinois, from Chicago. That was like, ooh, that New York trip was amazing. I think we planned it, I think, just two weeks back. So it was our friend's birthday. And we went to surprise her. She was living in Philadelphia, and her place was around 2 hours away from New York. So, in the name of birthday, we went to Shwetaka's place. We had a bash at Philly, and then we packed all our bags and went to New York. So that is like
Yeah.
my favorite trip, which I will never forget. New York, the vibe over there, everything. It was too good. And then the second trip, the most memorable one, was a budget friendly trip
Hmm.
that we did with our friends. So it was again Sneha and I, along with two
These
other
two
guys.
always come together for reference.
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah.
yeah,
Onnu
yeah.
vaangna.
So our trips are really mostly common, and everyone will be knowing that by now. Anyways, we went by car. So the other one we went by flight, of course. This one we went by car. We drove all the way from Chicago to Utah. That was our first stop. That's like to give perspective. I don't know how many miles away it is, but then it was the most. That was like a road trip, like the
Ah.
proper road
How
trip.
long does it take approximately? Do you
I don't
remember?
know. I think it took overnight because we left
2 days. No, it took so if we
Delhi.
started tonight, we reached
Next day
the day
by
after. Yeah.
after afternoon, maybe.
It's maybe 30 hours or 30 hours
Oh
drive
my
for sure.
God.
Yeah.
Was it 30?
Ah.
Yeah. Oh, it was long, but then my God, Utah, what a beauty. The drive was so amazing. We crossed Wyoming and then I don't know
It
what.
was our first time, first road trip. So yeah, nothing can
And
beat it.
okay, so I'll tell you, we went from Chicago to Utah. We covered Utah and then we went to
Vegas.
Vegas. From Vegas,
Hmm.
we went to Arizona. Oh,
Yeah.
Arizona
It
was
was a
beautiful.
road
Grand
trip. So
Canyon.
yeah.
And then back home. And this was all done. It was a budget friendly trip. You would not believe it was only $350 that we
What?
spent per head. This
Hey,
includes rental car, gasoline, everything.
that's not
No,
bad
maybe not
actually.
350.
Ah.
I think it was $500. But all in all, per head, it was the most cheapest trip I've ever gone by far. I don't think I've ever spent as low. It was a week-long trip, by the way. And we covered almost three states, three or
Yeah.
more. Yeah. So that is one
Really
thing.
nice. I wouldn't have expected it to be like that budget friendly. Like compared to like
No,
you know
By
no.
all the
road,
cities.
yeah.
We were very stingy. We did not spend
Because
that
master
much. All
students.
we did was spend on the gasoline. We didn't see when you say Vegas, people will think you were doing stuff in Vegas. No, all we did is just walk the strip there, and then we went to a nice restaurant to eat. That's
அவ்வளவுதான்
it.
இருக்கே
Like a
Vegasல. Come on.
casino.
Illa, illa, illa. Vegas, you see, it all depends on how
Seriously.
much you want to spend. Yeah,
But yeah, I've seen
but
the
yeah,
pictures these two are telling. It's like it was an amazing trip. I could see that, the like whether it
yeah,
was like they said Utah, New York, everything was like amazing. Mm.
Yeah, we didn't
yeah.
really spend much on food at that point. We just
Puliyodara. No.
surviving with police.
Illa, illa, we actually packed chapatis, so that we don't spend money outside. We packed chapatis for like
For the
one
first
or
night.
two, for the first 1 or 2 meals. Yeah, not, yeah,
Ah.
Adulthood,
yeah,
guys. Yeah,
yeah.
that's another thing you of course learn when you're away from home.
Mm,
Right, road
Cooking.
yeah.
trips. Oh, road trips are a tiny
Road
league.
trip. Yeah,
Yeah, definitely
true.
miss all that. Okay, so
Definitely.
before we go to Sneha, do you have a separate trip or are you gonna share off Ammo's?
No, and this is enough. See, all trips are amazing. Who doesn't
It's
like
hard.
travel?
It's
Huh? Do you
Illa?
even have a bad trip? No, right? So yeah.
Right?
I thought we were talking about master's trip, so that's why I said
Any trip, it's fine. It's like comes in US land.
Actually, even our road trip, that was amazing. So all three of us, we went on a road trip around Texas. We did Dallas, we did Austin, and Houston. Yeah. See?
all three.
Masa,
All three
oh.
points. It was a triangle. Perfect
Yeah.
triangle.
That was the first
Yeah.
time you came to like Texas also. Like that. I mean,
Yeah.
no. Like officially they have come here a
Oh,
lot of
oh
time.
yeah, correct.
But
Oh, even
first
I
still.
forgot. Correct.
Anirudh's concert. How can you
Obba, that
forget?
was best part. Seriously, undoubtedly.
Yeah.
And then Austin, the food, chicken,
Fried
fried chicken,
chicken. There was like
best
some
ever chicken.
controversies.
Are we going to talk about the story or are we up for?
We're all Big Boss Purnima fans, okay? So as long as that condition is
திட்ட
satisfied,
போறாங்கப்பா பிக் பாஸ் பூர்ணிமா ஃபேன்ஸ்
It was
okay,
Purnima.
so to all those
one
who
sec,
watch,
pause. Okay, so sorry, I will start at this point. Okay, we are doing that free version of Zoom, so we are near that recording thing. So we're gonna cut
okay,
here, and I'll send you another link with that thing. So we'll resume from that point. Start point on the Big Boss.